Hi, y'all. My name is Zoe Hartsfield. I run evangelism here at Apollo. I am joined by my colleague, James O'Sullivan. James, do you want to introduce yourself really quick?
Hey, Zoe. James O'Sullivan, part of the Apollo Academy team.
And we are here to walk you through step one of our social selling framework. We're going to focus on step one, the LinkedIn profile. And we're actually going to do a live teardown of James O'Sullivan's profile. We'll jump into it. Pulling up your profile now, James. This could use a couple of improvements. The very first thing we're going to want to fix is up at the top, up here, your URL. If you look up at the top, your URL reads James AO and then a bunch of bananas numbers.
My lucky number.
9217, whatever. Most people's URLs look like this. And I think one of the quickest, easiest adjustments you can make to make your profile look just a little bit more professional, like you've put a little bit of time into it, is actually to edit it. So if you were to go into the upper right-hand corner, you're going to click the pencil. And when it takes you to the edit page, further over to the right, a little bit higher, you're going to be able to edit your URL. And I would highly recommend you change this either to first dot last. I've seen people, do it as the name of their company, whatever you'd prefer, but just make it something so that it isn't that long string of numbers. That step one right there is going to make you look infinitely more professional, like you care about your LinkedIn profile.
Okay, that makes sense.
Next, let's take a look at, your eyes move down just a tiny bit, your LinkedIn banner photo. What is this?
It's a Glen Plaid.
Nice, classy.
Images I had saved on my computer at the time, so I wanted to have something there instead of the default.
Okay, I will say this is a step up from the default. I'm glad it's not the gray, kind of nebulous, non-LinkedIn banner, but it's probably not the best. This is really valuable real estate. It's the first thing that somebody's going to see when they come to your profile. I would highly encourage one of two things. Your company probably has a bunch of branded LinkedIn banners that you could swipe. That's going to be a good way to plug your company. Or two is you could create your own in a tool like Canva and have it speak to some of your expertise. I've seen a lot of really good examples of this. We could show some. This is valuable real estate. I would recommend you use it to direct people to other resources, let them know your expertise, or talk about your company. On your profile photo, this actually isn't bad. I've seen a lot of more interesting profile photos. I like that it's got the Apollo yellow. It kind of represents your company. The only thing I might recommend is one where you're sitting up slightly straighter. People have a very clear headshot. So this is okay. Well, moving on, right under your name, you're going to see your tagline. I'm going to ask you this. Does this headline tell me who you are?
No.
And then, does it tell you who you help?
Not really, no. I'd like to think everybody, but that's not really the case, no.
If your headline can answer for me very clearly, who are you? Who do you help? That's going to make a big difference. So something like helping sellers close more revenue through product education at Apollo would probably be a slightly clearer headline. You could also make that more creative. You could make it sillier. I would recommend you get a tad bit more specific about who are you? Who do you help? And you'll be off to the races.
Okay.
This is a really important section, this line. It feels personal. At the end of the day, if I went to your LinkedIn profile, I'm trying to get to know you, James O'Sullivan. Who is James? Who does he help? This real estate is really great for telling a story about you. I'll recommend you move this to a lower section as we scroll down the page.
Yeah, that's all still there from a previous time being unemployed and wanting to tell a story of being in sales forever and some of the highlights. So I think I shortened it, but I just didn't have anything to replace it with. So I just left it there.
I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with this. I just think it could be better if instead of these long bullet points, you wrote, 3 to 5 sentences about who is James? What does he care about? Who does he help? What's your area of expertise? And then save all these wins for what I would call a sizzle reel down in your experience section, which we'll get to in a moment.
Okay.
All right, featured section. This is okay. It could be better. You can post posts here, but you can also drop links. You could drop articles you've been featured in. I think variety is what wins. So instead of a uniform list of several posts you've done, I would include, maybe if you're trying to drive people, let's say you have a side hustle and you're trying to drive people to that landing page, you could drop that link. Let's say you were featured in a top 200 salespeople list and you want to drop that article link there. I would mix it up and create some diversity visually. That's going to catch people's eyes a little bit better because right now this looks pretty youth.
It looks like just different versions of the same video over and over.
Yeah, I would think that this is just like the same post, copy and paste it over and over. It's not. It's just because your background is the same. But all right, and then moving down your activity section, this is good. This is automatically updated based on comments, likes, whatever you're posting. But one thing I would just emphasize that I think you're doing well is you are actively engaging. If you haven't done anything in 90 days, all this section will say is no activity in 90 days. That'll set off a huge red flag for people. So I think this is good. And then this is the last section that I feel like we really want to highlight. There are other sections you could add or change, but this is probably the last important section. So I think you could leverage this section, James, to drop your wins. How many courses you've done, how many webinars you've hosted, the attendance, how you've driven conversions, things like that would be a great thing to put in this section.
You got to update it when you don't need it, because by the time you do, you don't even remember all those stats or awards or things that you'd want to highlight anyways. So
yeah, and this is worth revisiting every 6 to 8 weeks. I would check your profile, make a couple of updates, update your newest stat, and make sure that your profile is up to date and ready to go.
Cool. Well, thanks for the audit of my profile, Zoe.
All right, so that concludes our teardown of James's profile. Thank you so much for following along. If you want to learn step-by-step how to tackle social selling in your sales strategy, go back to the Apollo Academy and watch that webinar we just released. Additionally, if you want to do your own LinkedIn audit, we have a checklist so you can download and follow step by step to make sure your LinkedIn profile is optimized for social selling as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more selling tactical tips, and leave a comment if you have questions about your LinkedIn profile. We'll go through and make sure that we're answering those periodically and get you all squared away so that you are set to be successful with social selling.